Hi guys, Miss Womack here. Just wanted to go over some of the things that we've been learning in class and some of our trig basics, which are sine, cosine, and tangent ratios, which we've simplified with the word SOHCAHTOA. And we're just taking the first letter off of the ratios, and you can see the sine is equal to the opposite divided by the hypotenuse, and the cosine is equal to the adjacent side over the hypotenuse, or the cosine of the angle, I should say. And tangent is t is opposite over hypotenuse. So the battle cry for the trigonometry, SOHCAHTOA, is actually a easier way to remember that. So we've been practicing this a lot. Just wanted to make this video for anyone that was having any trouble with this. And again, the best strategy is to identify your angle. We talked about using a little Pac-Man symbol. And identifying your opposite side, that's going to be on the opposite side of the angle. And our hypotenuse, this 90-degree angle actually points to it, so this would be our hypotenuse. Now once you have established all of your, I may do that with a darker color, hold on. Once you have established or labeled it, again, this is your hypotenuse, this is your opposite side, you can select one of the three trig ratios. And this only works, of course, with right triangles. And we see that sine is going to be what we'll use. So we'll use the sine of 35 degrees is equal to, and again, we're trying to make a decision if it's the 3 over x or x over 3. And the 3 is on the opposite side, so we'll put the 3 up on top and the x on bottom. Now, we discussed this in class, but I'll show it again on this video. The justification for why these two actually swap. And I actually didn't do it with this problem. I did it with a simpler problem because I wrote like this on the board, and I asked people, whoops, I revealed the answer, and I asked the people in the classroom, what is x? And they all said 2, as we saw just a moment ago. And I said, how are you using the 16 and the 8 to get to that? And they said, well, we're dividing. And some said multiplying, but I said, no, use the 16 and the 8. And they said, oh, we're doing 16 divided by 8 to get 2. And I said, exactly. So, in fact, you could get to the 2 if you did 16 divided by 8. So that's kind of a justification with just a simpler description, more familiar numbers that we can see. But really, all that's going to happen is the sine of 35 degrees is going to swap with that x, which means that the x will be equal to a division problem now, which will be 3 divided by the sine of 35 degrees. Now that will go into your calculator just like this, and we see that it will be 5.23, round that to 5.2, which is the nearest tenth. So x will equal 5.2. Now let's try another example. And in this example we see that we'll do the same process. We will, Pac-Man eats the angle, spits out the gumball. You're able to identify that the 7 is in fact on the opposite side, and the 15 is on the hypotenuse. Once again, it looks like we need the trig ratio that utilizes the opposite and the hypotenuse. But you could also think about it, it's the one without the a. Now I'm going to use the acronym, or the mnemonic to help us remember it. Ca for cosine, and TOA. And you can see that these two have a's in them, so we're not going to pick that one. So sometimes it's a little faster to actually think about what you don't have. So we'll write that one as the sine of theta is going to be equal to 7 over 15. Well, this one we'll solve a little differently in the calculator. So on this one, we'll actually need to utilize the inverse, which you'll see is on the calculator right here. And you get there by pressing the blue button on the calculator, and it will actually access these buttons, any of the blue colored buttons. And we're trying to get the sign inverse right here, which is right above sign. And sometimes I'll say below because it's strange. But anyway, we see that it's actually 27.81, which will round to 27.8. So we can see that, once again, the inverse of sine, which is, this is what we use to find angles. You may as well be saying, what is the angle of sine? And it's going to be 27.8, and we'll go ahead and give it a unit in degrees. Now, speaking of degrees and radian, if you get something unusual, like maybe something like maybe this one here. You see, it looks like it's put in the calculator correctly, but I've never seen an angle that's 0.4855, something weird. Well, in that case, your calculator may actually be set to radian because we're using that in our first period pre-calculus class. So you may have to fix it. So what you would do is press the mode button right here, and we can see that in fact it is in radian mode right up here. So you simply just want to push this arrow key down and over and highlight this degree that's right there, and just press enter, and then you'll be in degree mode and you'll get to normal answers, correct answers. So we'll try one more, and this is where the x is up high, and see or this is that case. So we'll again identify our opposite. Our adjacent side and our hypotenuse is actually what we'll need on this one. So we'll be using cosine on this one, and it's going to be the cosine of 52 degrees is going to be equal to y. It doesn't always have to be x. It's just a variable over 11.5. And in this case, we will multiply cosine of 52 degrees, multiplying that by 11.5 to obtain our answer, which rounds to 7.1. Here we are. So that is our trigonometry basics.